first, Brock Purdy is something else, man. In the NFL, through 8 regular season starts, he is...
I'm undefeated, never lost.
Never lost. LeVar Ball style. 8-0 as a starter in the National Football League and put together a pretty darn solid performance against the New York Giants, albeit on a short week and albeit as a 10-point favorite. We expected the 49ers, most of us did certainly, to win this game and to cover. 30-12 ended up being the final score, but Brock Purdy over 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, completion percentage in the high 60s, QBR 58, which I felt was a bit low, passer rating at 111. He did certainly get help from the running game, which gave him 141 yards. Christian McCaffrey rushed for yet another touchdown. I'm pretty sure every game Christian McCaffrey has been a 49er, he has rushed for a touchdown or scored a touchdown in some way, shape, or form, which is incredible. It is one of the great mysteries, at least in the past month or so, even dating back to last season to a certain extent, but I feel like it's really ramped up now in San Francisco, is the odd questioning of, is Brock Purdy good? Is Brock Purdy the guy to help the 49ers get to and do something that we talk about the Cowboys having a long championship drought? Now, albeit the Niners have been to a lot of NFC championship games, the Cowboys have not. But the Cowboys have won a Super Bowl more recently than the Niners. So can Brock Purdy be the guy in a great lineage of Niners quarterbacks? Of course, Joe Montana and Steve Young being at the top of that list. Can Brock Purdy be that third guy to add a Lombardi trophy to this trophy shelf in San Francisco? At this point, if you don't think that to be the case, you're either not watching or you're willfully ignorant. At this point, I don't get it. Because not just from a stat standpoint, like his stats look good. His stats, I think I saw his stat today. So, by the age of the youngest quarterbacks ever to throw for 700 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 0 picks through the first 3 weeks of their season, youngest quarterbacks to ever do that are Lamar Jackson in 2019, Patrick Mahomes in 2018, and now Brock Purdy this year. Is Brock Purdy Mahomes or Lamar Jackson? Obviously not. But does he have to be? Obviously not. And it's not just the loaded roster in San Francisco, which speaks for itself. It's why I think they're currently the best team in the NFL and has just as good of a chance as anybody to not to just get to the Super Bowl, but to win the whole darn thing. It's the fact that what Kyle Shanahan's allowing him to do, asking him to do. You got to realize Kyle Shanahan is a guy, throughout his time as an offensive coordinator and as a head coach in his NFL life, of course, he's a great run designer, which I talked about extensively on the show. But a big reason for that is he loves quarterbacks that can move. Why do you think Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers went up in the draft, got Trey Lance? Because they hoped that, hey, Jimmy G, maybe he got about as far as he could, but there's some mobility concerns, there's some injury concerns. Let's go get the young kid out of North Dakota State. Raw, but really athletic. We can get his accuracy, in order, in check, kind of like the Bills did with Josh Allen and what the Colts are hoping to do with Anthony Richardson. And, of course, it didn't pan out. Trey Lance was never able to get the accuracy thing down, and that's, of course, crucially important to be a successful quarterback in the NFL, even if you have a loaded roster, which the Niners, of course, do. What he has with Brock Purdy is a guy who does he have a great arm? No. Is it a good enough arm? Sure. Did you see that touchdown pass to Deebo Samuel fourth quarter? Pretty good throw, wasn't it? Jimmy Garoppolo making those throws? Was Trey Lance making those throws? Is Sam Darnold making those throws, the backup quarterback? Haven't seen any of them do that, consistently at least. Is he accurate? Yeah. Can he move? Yeah. Does he turn the football over? No. What's not to like? They open up the play a bit more. I remember reading a stat last season, and you could certainly see it this year, is the fact that Kyle Shanahan has allowed Brock Purdy to do things that he wouldn't let Jimmy Garoppolo do, such as, take shots down the field. Not just that, but attempts. Again, the 49ers are playing a beat-up Giants team with a limited quarterback, no left tackle, no star running back. Giants are missing all these players. 49ers are at home. They've got the 10-point favorite at home. Everybody expects them to win pretty easily. And Kyle Shanahan lets Brock Purdy, one of the most brilliant offensive minds in the NFL, allows Brock Purdy to throw the football 37 times. He has many different ways he can get Deebo Samuel involved in the run game, especially with no Brandon Ayuk. You can get Christian McCaffrey involved, obviously, in the running game, and Elijah Mitchell involved in the running game. George Kittle, he can get involved not necessarily through the running game, obviously, but through little, like screen passes and stuff like that. But no, he trusts Brock Purdy to take shots down the field. Again, from week one, coming off of his elbow basically exploding in the NFC Championship game against Philadelphia just 8 months ago. He's allowing Brock Purdy against the Pittsburgh Steelers, taking shots down the field over the middle to Ayuk, to Debo, to Kittle. He did it last week against the Rams. Not quite as much, but he did it. And then this week, short week, opens it up even more against, by the way, a Wink Martindale-led defense. And we know how aggressive they can be. So that is the pessimism, skepticism, whatever you want to call it, with Brock Purdy, I think has everything to do with the fact that it's two things. Is that, okay, if Jimmy Garoppolo, who we all acknowledge is fine, if you got Jimmy Garoppolo in your roster, you can win some games. Maybe not depending on the roster around him, but you can win some games. But there's some limitations there. You have concerns about injury. But hey, he won there. He got him to a Super Bowl. He got him to an NFC Championship game. Yeah, he's pretty good. He's solid. You know, if that can work, then hey, sure, Mr. Irrelevant can work. You know, it's the loaded roster in San Francisco. That has everything to do with it. Funny, Trey Lance struggled with his exact same roster, but that's another conversation for another day. And the second thing I think the people are concerned about is something that we so often, and it's not just exclusive to the NFL. You see it in the NBA too. I think you've seen it with guys like Steph Curry up until about the last 2 to 3 years. Yeah, he can shoot. Yeah, he can handle the ball. Yeah, but he can't. Maybe he's not as great of a scorer, down low, in the paint as we'd like. And, maybe sometimes he's not that great defensively and he's kind of small. So we can never really put him in the best player in the world discussion. And Steph Curry's proven that wrong time and time again. Whether you not think he's the best player in the world, he's certainly in the discussion for it. Now, Brock Purdy's no Steph Curry, of course. Maybe two Bay Area athletes. That doesn't mean they're the same guy, of course. But we're so often enamored with the big arm guy. Remember Jamarcus Russell? Was it 07, something like that, when he was drafted? Jamarcus Russell, one of the biggest arms in the history of college football. Bust. Intangibles weren't there. Attention to detail was not there at all. It is with Brock Purdy. Some of that is the fact that he's got a little maybe Tom Brady syndrome where Brady's drafted 6th round. Again, Purdy is no Brady, obviously. But Brady's drafted 6th round. When you're drafted late round, I heard Shannon Sharp talk about this the other day. When you're drafted late round, you do have to put in more work than the guys drafted the 1st round. That's why the 1st round talents who do work so hard as the late round guys, they often go on to be all-time greats. See LeBron James. LeBron James, all-time talent, all-time hard worker. That's a scary sight for opponents to see. But if you are a Brock Purdy and you have the work ethic to the levels that maybe other quarterbacks don't, or you have the intangibles that other quarterbacks don't, so often, again, we're enamored by the stuff we can see with our eyes or look at a stat sheet. By the way, Brock Purdy's had solid stat sheet games, but you get the idea. Instead of just look at the fact that, okay, is he accurate? Yeah. Is he coachable? Yeah. Is he smart with football? Yeah. Is he mobile? He's that. Is his arm good enough? Sure it is. It's better than Jimmy Garoppolo's. Do the coaches trust him? Yeah. At this point, I'm not sure what now he's going to lose eventually because he's an NFL quarterback, but he's going to lose eventually. I don't think it'll be next week. They play Arizona. The Dallas game is obviously going to be huge in 2 weeks from now. But I don't get we've had a lot of quarterbacks go through that Kyle Shanahan system in San Francisco and not worked. Brian Hoyer, CJ Beathard, Nick Mullins was a solid backup, but never ever showed flashes to be a guy, hey, they can win a Super Bowl with him. Who knows? Jimmy Garoppolo was good, got him to a Super Bowl, but there were still some limitations there, and Trey Lance was never the guy from the get-go. From a production standpoint, at least. Brock Purdy has been. So why are we going to punish a quarterback for having a loaded roster? Then let's punish Lamar Jackson. When the Ravens are healthy, of course. Let's punish, until he got hurt, Aaron Rodgers. Let's punish, years ago, Patrick Mahomes with all the pieces he had offensively. Again, I'm not saying Brock Purdy is Mahomes, is Lamar, is Rodgers, is even Dak Prescott. I'm not quite sure he's Derek Carr. I mean, you guys know I think highly of Derek Carr more than most, so you get what I'm saying there. But can he put himself in a position to be a top 12 quarterback? You darn right he can. Can the Niners win a Super Bowl with this guy? Absolutely. Absolutely. So, again, the skepticism of Brock Purdy it doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't. Just because he's not the physical specimen that a Josh Allen is, for example, doesn't mean he can't be successful. I mean, by the way, again, when it comes to being smart with the football, I think we'd all take Brock Purdy over Josh Allen by a pretty big margin. It just kind of reminds me of it's Remember, I did a segment about this a month ago about Brock Purdy. He was actually carving up the context, which I do every Wednesday. And there was this story going around like, oh man, Brock Purdy's throwing a bunch of interceptions at training camp practice. Oh, I don't know if he's going to work. I said, guys, can we just take this into account that A, you try throws in training camp, you don't try during games, and B, he just might be playing the best defense in the NFL every single day at practice. You're probably going to throw a couple picks. But when the games actually matter, he doesn't throw picks. Brock Purdy's the man. Brock Purdy is the guy to get the San Francisco 49ers to and potentially win the Super Bowl. Now, I didn't pick them to do that. I think Dallas is going to win the NFC and Kansas City is going to win it all. But would I be shocked if they get there? Of course not. Of course not. The Purdy slander has got to calm down. I don't get it. I really, again, and I knew I liked this guy when, of course, he was thrown into the fire against Miami, who was red hot at the time when Garoppolo broke his foot and played well, got him to a win. But that next game, they played Tampa, who had a solid defense, certainly a great front seven. And Brock Purdy, they were trusting him to take shots down the field far more than I ever seen them do with Jimmy or even Trey Lance. And I'm thinking, wow, the trust for a Mr. Irrelevant is amazing. I'm going to roll with Kyle Shanahan, that he knows a little bit more about quarterbacks and how to evaluate them than me or you. I'm going to roll with Kyle Shanahan this one. Brock Purdy played very well last night. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.